Okay, and then resources for biotechnology. Certain plants reproduce use product for humans, right? For technology, biotechnology. And then another one is resource for industry, which is plants also provide raw materials such as timber for construction. Timber is like logs. Okay. Okay. So that is the why biodiversity is very important for us. Okay, we have a lot of uses for them and it is very important. Okay, and then you learn about classification of organism, which is construction of still remember dichotomous P is a method of use biologists to identify a classified organism systematically based on similarity and difference. Okay, and it is constructed of a series of couple. Each couple consists of two segments. Okay, this one is example of dicotyledon and monocotyledon, I guess. No need. Okay. Okay. And then you learn about invertebrate and vertebrate, correct? What is mean by invertebrate? Yeah, no backbones. Vertebrate is? Yep. So invertebrate with legs. We learn about invertebrate with legs, which is the characteristic is they have segmented bodies, have hard outer shells, which is we call it as skeleton. Yeah. Okay, that is if it doesn't have vertebrate. Okay, three pair of legs. Example of animals that have three pair of legs is butterfly, cockroach, okay? And more than three pairs, not three legs, three pairs, which is three pairs is six legs lah, three pairs. So spider, okay, horseshoe crab, prawn, centipede, scorpion, three pair of legs for ants, okay? And more than three pair is spider, blah, blah, blah. Okay, how about vertebrates? Vertebrates animal with a backbone. For example, fish. Okay, fish are animal with the following common. And example, a lot of them lah, eel, grouper, okay, clownfish. That is external fertilization. Example of the external fertilization and they are fish. Okay, and then amphibians. Okay, can you give me the example of amphibians? The water one. The one that live in a sometimes they live in a land. Okay. The amphibian with following common, which is live land and water covered with moist skin. Young amphibian breathe through gills. Adult amphibian breathe using their lungs and moist skin. For example, what? Frogs. Okay. And then produce daily like egg spawn, which is without shell. And then undergo external fertilization. For example, tadpole, frog, toad, and salamander. The thing. Okay, who likes reptile? Reptile. FA1. FA? In the water? Okay, reptile is not in the water. Okay, it is like something that can live both, okay, as well sometimes. Produce egg and with a shell, breathe through lungs, have scales and hard skin, undergo internal fertilization. For example, iguana, turtle, snake, and crocodile. All of them is reptile. Iguana, snake, and crocodile. Why iguana? IGUANA. I don't know lah. Okay, so this is the this one you can learn yourself. I mean that you can read lah because it is just effective biodiversity management. How we want to manage effective biodiversity, which is you cannot deny that we need them, we need the raw material. So as my simple for development, nevertheless, deforestation. Do you know what I mean by deforestation? Activities, cut down all the plants, right? Cut down all the tree. Okay, need to control. We need to control the deforestation because we need them in future. So we don't want them to be extinct. So what method we can use to maintain and to conserve them? Okay, you can use a lot of method, protecting habitat, which is you can create national park. Oh, sorry. Create national park. Okay, marine park, forest reserve. Forest reserve mean we cannot use the forest or be like we cannot touch the forest, Reserve. Wildlife sanctuaries, for example, We have turtle sanctuaries, okay, things that we need to protect, yes, orangutan, something like that. And then undertaking reproductive programs such as seedling nurseries to help with reforestation and turtle hatches. So normally in Malaysia, we do a lot of turtle hatcheries. Okay, means we have the turtle to hatch. Okay, and then classification of animal invertebrate. Now we move to invertebrate. Without legs. Without legs. So without legs, what is invertebrate without legs? For example, snail, okay, corals, and then I cannot read the and then with segmented body, some invertebrate without leg have segmented body. So for example, tapeworm, earthworm, and leech. You know what's the leech or not? If you go to jungle, you got the leech, right? Okay. Yeah. And then you learn about, this is just a revision, you already learned all of this. Okay, you learn about birds. Okay, so birds, I think you guys already know what is bird. Okay, we just cover with feathers, maintain body temperature, breathe through lungs, have wings that help that help some birds to fly, have a pair of scaly feet, undergo internal fertilization, and they produce egg with hard shell. Okay, for example, a lot lah, duck or kingfisher, whatever, all the birds. Okay, mammals. Okay, you already know what is mammals, right? Mammals are animals with following common character, which is hemothermy, cover with fur and hair, breathe through lungs, undergo internal fertilization, and mammals is give birth. Okay, what's mean by give birth and nurse their young? Okay, this mammal is special. It's like us. They give birth and nurse their young. Yeah, give milk. So that's why nurse their young. Okay, for example, lion, giraffe, elephant, bat, and cats. Yeah. And then you learn about non-flowering plants. Okay, for example, moss, fern, conifer. Okay, this is all non-flowering. And then how they reproduce. Okay, for example, moss, they produce by spores. And then reproduced by spores as well for fern. And for conifer, it reproduced by bearing corn. Okay, and then you learn about flowering plant, which is we have monocotyledon and dicotyledon, correct? Okay, monocotyledon have one or more. Mono one or dicotyledon one. Okay, mono one, the dicotyledon is two or more. Okay. Okay, so flowering plants, for example, we have a paddy plants, orchid plants, lotus, sunflower, and a lot more. Okay, the difference between the monocotyledon and dicotyledon is very important, which is the number of their cotyledon. For monocotyledon, the number of the cotyledon is 1. For dicotyledon, the number of cotyledon is 2 or more. And for the root, monocotyledon has fibrous root and dicotyledon have tap root. For leaf, leaf with parallel veins, and this one is leaf with network-like veins. And stem is most have non-woody stem. And for dicotyledon, we have woody stem. And example, this is the example. Paddy and maize plants for monocotyledon, and for dicotyledon, tomato plants and durian tree, and a lot more. So ecosystem, which is anti-flow in ecosystem, the first part that we need to know, which is green plant convert light energy from the sun into chemical energy through the process. We call it photosynthesis. Okay, so photosynthesis, which is the chemical energy, is transferred to primary consumer and then to the secondary and tertiary consumer in the food chain and food web. Okay, so what's mean by that? We have starting from the producer. So producer is the one that can make their own foods. For example, plants. Okay, so producer is the organism that produce its own food through photosynthesis, which is mostly plants. Okay, and then primary, after producer, then we have a primary consumer that eat the producer. So the primary consumer should be an organism that eat another organism. So a primary consumer normally, and of course, is herbivores or omnivores only because they eat plants. Okay, so herbivores and omnivores that are eat producer. For example, caterpillars. Okay, secondary consumer is the omnivore or carnivore. Omnivore, the one who eat what? Eat meat and mutton. Yes, eat both. Okay, both. Okay, and then for carnivore only eat meats only. Okay, so the its primary consumer, for example, the Himalayan blue-tailed tiger or whatever omnivore, because it eats caterpillar and fruits. So, however, the kingfisher, this is a primary carnivore because it eats primary consumers such as snail, fish, tadpoles, and shrimp. You already know that what is meant by carnivore, herbivore, and also omnivore. Okay, I repeat again. Omnivore eat both meats and plants. Herbivore only eat plants, and carnivore is like T-Rex, only eat meats. Okay. Okay, after secondary consumer, we move to the tertiary consumer, which is the tertiary consumer is a secondary carnivore that eat a secondary consumer. So the size of a tertiary consumer is usually bigger than a primary or secondary consumer. Is elephant is tertiary consumer? Is elephant is tertiary consumer? I ask you, yes or no? No, yes. I don't know. Yes. No, that is no, because elephant eats plants. It doesn't eat meats. So the one that eat plants normally at the secondary consumer or at the primary consumer. The one who tertiary consumer is always bigger but only eat meats. Huh? Okay, next one is decomposers. Do you remember what is meant by decomposer? Dead body. Decomposer is an organism, very like an organism that break down dead animals and plants into simpler materials or nutrients. Okay, so this reaction we call it saprophytism. Okay, this one is normally fungi, something like that. Okay, bacteria, fungi. Okay, yeah, bacteria eating the things that are already dead. Okay, so let's see what is food chain that you already learned. Can be used to show the feeding relationship between organisms. We use food chain. Okay, for example, we have the producer should be plants, right? For example, here they give us the example of cabbage. And then the snail eat cabbage. And then the bird eats snails and the fox eat bird. So remember, I tell you, the tertiary consumer should be the one that eat only meats. Huh? Okay, so this is the example of another one, interaction between a few food chains. Okay, you will learn a few food chain, not only one food chain. So a few food chain, we call it food web. Okay, a lot of food chain, we call it food web. Okay, so this is the example. For example, cabbage eaten by caterpillars, snails, and grasshopper. Cabbage, kubis is cabbage. Okay, and then caterpillar, snail, and grasshopper. Okay, frog only eat grasshopper. Okay, the rest is eaten by bird. Caterpillar, snail, and grasshopper eaten by bird. And bird and frog is eaten by the snake. So snake is the third tier. Okay, consumer. Yes. Sorry. What is it? Oh, frog. He doesn't want to eat caterpillars. He only want to eat grasshopper. Caterpillar is smaller than grasshopper. Maybe he don't want to eat that. Okay, so let's move to the water cycle. Okay, water cycle is actually you already learned previously in your primary level, and then you just repeat back in English. Okay. Yeah, what I mean by water cycle means how the water is become a cycle in our daily life, which is start with the water is absorbed by the roots of plants in the ground and released into the atmosphere through transpiration, and then animals will carry out respiration and excretion, which is through sweating and or urination. All of this increase the water content in the atmosphere. So roots of plants hold the soil tightly and make the structure of the soil more compact. So this slow down the flow of water underground and prevent the soil erosion. So leaves that fall from trees and cover the surface of the earth will reduce the rate of evaporation and prevent the soil from becoming dry. So this is actually the function of all the living things for water. So you need to know the water cycle is actually only this. Water is evaporate through the atmosphere, and then when they become heavy, they condense a form of cloud. After the cloud is very heavy, then they will go down as a rain, okay, and then rain will go back to the water, I mean the source of water, for example, sea, river, okay, and then repeat again the cycle. So that one we call it water cycle. Okay, and then the difference is what is carbon cycle. Carbon cycle is when the carbon dioxide is being rotating, okay, the cycling. Okay, for example, animal release what? Carbon dioxide. Okay, and then who take the carbon dioxide? Plants. Okay, and then plants will release oxygen. Who take the oxygen back? Animals and organisms like us. Okay, so that is the cycle we call it. Okay, and then sometimes only when the cow is already died, okay, they release what? When they decompose, also they release carbon dioxide and methanol, something like that. Okay, so carbon dioxide also will release to the atmosphere, and then the plants will take all the carbon dioxide, and then the plants will release the oxygen. Again, we take the oxygen and release carbon dioxide. So a lot of things. Another one is what? Other than decompose, other than respiration, another one is combustion, correct? Okay, when we burn something, we need oxygen, and then they will release carbon dioxide. So that is cycle, carbon cycle. Energy flow in the food web. Okay, this one is simple the energy, because they use the organism. Okay, you already know the energy will not be destroyed, correct? So it's just being transferred. That's all you need to know. Okay, this one is nutrient cycle, which is the transfer of nutrient and energy is continuous in the ecosystem. So nutrients are obtained from a balanced ecosystem and used by living things. Then the nutrients are returned to the environment to be used again. So this one we call it nutrient cycle. Okay, and then you learn about interaction between organisms. For example, symbiosis, which is two or more organisms of different species that live and interact together. For example, the first one is what? Mutualism. Still remember what is meant by mutualism? Okay, what is meant by mutualism? Both benefits. Yeah, very good. Mutualism means both gain benefits. For example, crocodile and the bird. Okay, because the bird do what? Yeah, they got foods from the teeth, and then the crocodile did what? Eat the bird. Yes, crocodile can what? Good. Teeth. Okay. Okay, what is meant by commensalism? Only one gain benefit. Another one? Yeah, it doesn't get harm, but it doesn't get benefit at all. Okay, it just do nothing means. For example, remora and shark. Okay, cattle, egret, and ox. Okay, that is the example for commensalism. How about parasitism? Yeah, one gain had benefit and another one is harm. For example, tapeworm. Yes. Okay. Move to the next one. Pre-predator. Okay, this one is interaction between organisms. We have pre-predator competition. So pre-predator is what? Which one is pre here? This one, right? Zebra. Predator. This is zebra. I can see. Okay. The lion is the predator. So involve one organism that eats another organism. So pre is the organism that is eaten by the predator. So predator is lion. So predator is the organism that hunts a venture organism for food. For example, what? Tiger and deer. Okay, that is deer. Okay, I guess it's that. Oh, this is not a tiger. This is lion, right? Okay. Okay, next is competition. What is meant by competitions? Okay, happens when organisms in one habitat compete for limited. Okay, means like their foods they need to compete they need to compete in order to get their foods. Okay, for example, eagle. Okay, they need to compete to get foods or meats or water. Okay, for plants they normally compete to get sunlight. Okay, biological control. Okay, what is meant by that? It is a method that use organisms that are natural predator, parasite, or a pathogen to reduce the number of pests in an area. For example, we keep oil in a palm oil, okay, because we want to control the population of the rats. Okay, so this one we call biological control without using the pests, because pests is not good for environmental, okay, health. Not friendly, okay, environmental friendly. Okay, and then solving problems due to human activity when there is a disruption to the cycle. For example, negative human activity is uncontrolled deforestation, means illegal logging. And then fuel combustion means what? You use car, right? So it is fuel combustion. And then excessive water usage for domestic and agriculture. So how we want to solve this to the nutrient cycle? We can create plant or agriculture system, use public transport in order to reduce the fuel combustion. Okay, store rainwater for daily use. Okay, so that we have enough water of supply. Replant back the trees if we do a lot of logging, and tighten the laws. Okay, if we have a lot, I mean like if the agriculture or the factory, okay, release a lot of pollution, so we need to strict the laws. Maybe give a fine, okay, something like that. Yeah, go. Okay, so what is meant by okay, now we move to the interdependence, and interaction between organism with the environment. For example, habitats. So this one they like to ask you what is meant by habitats or species. So you need to know how to differentiate them. Okay, what is habitats and what is species? So what is habitat? Yeah, it's actually a home. So the keyword is home. Habitat, home. Okay, but not opposite lah. A habitat is the natural surrounding or home of an organism. For example, habitat for human is on Earth. Okay. Okay. So that is meant by habitat, natural surrounding or home of organism. Okay. So species. They like to ask you what is meant by species. A group of organisms that have common characteristics. Okay, common characteristic and can reproduce to breed offspring. Okay, so that for example is dragonfly, a lot of okay, so that is one we call it species. Okay, so move to the three. Number three is what is population. Okay, normally people students write down wrongly because they confuse between the species and population. Again, species is what? The dragonfly. Okay, I mean the meaning of the species just now. State, characteristic. Okay. Okay, move to population. So what is different between species and population? Population is a group of organisms of same species that live in the same habitat. We call it population because they live in the same habitat. Same species in the same habitat. What is species again? A group. Common or same? Yes. Characteristic, right? A group of organisms have same or common characteristic. But what is meant by population? Yeah, it's same species and live in the same area or habitats. Okay, so that one we call it population. Okay, and then what is meant by community? Yes, few population of different organisms. Okay, that live together in one habitat and have mutual interaction with one another. You already know what is interaction, right? So we have a lot of interaction in one community, okay, because they have a lot of population there. I mean, like few population. Okay, and then what is ecosystem? Yeah, few community. Okay, so an system is a few community that live together that live together in one habitat and have mutual interaction with one another, including the non-living components such as water, air, and soil. Okay, ecosystem is including the non-living things. So that is the key word. Okay. Okay, so what is factor that influence population size? Okay. It can be different because of sometimes the population is or the population size is decreasing because of the diseases. Okay, disease. Maybe because of the presence of predator, got lion there or tiger, so presence of predator. Maybe the source of food is not enough there, so the population will drop as well. Change of weather, for example, is normally hot there, and so suddenly the climate change to very cool, so they will all migrate. Migrate means they move to other places. And then change in the ecosystem, which is limited water supply, migration, and change in the population size. So this is what is we see in the change in the ecosystem. Nutrition. Okay, so still remember what we learned in nutrition. It's by classes of food, right? Okay, you need to have carbohydrate. You need to have what? More other than that, protein and so on. So let's see what is the classes of food that you already learned previously. First is carbohydrate. Okay, so carbohydrate, which is an organic compound that contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So a stable for humans because it supplies a lot of energy. For example, what? Starch, okay, glycogen, cellulose. Okay, so that is the example for the carbohydrate. Okay, and then plant sources, for example, you can get from banana, potato, sugar, the carbohydrate that you can get. Bananas. Next is protein. Okay, protein also we need. So protein is a food substance that contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and plus nitrogen. Okay, so we eat digested. Our food that we eat is digested to the basic unit. So that is amina. Actually, amino acid, right? And required for growth and to repair damaged tissue in dead cells. So that is function of protein. Can you before I keep or drink everything. Okay, and then protein also used to synthesize enzyme, okay, hormones and antibodies. And where you can gain your protein, yes, meat, egg, nuts, and chicken. And a lot more actually, okay, fish and something on. Okay, next one is fat. Okay, we also need fats. Okay, so as in carbohydrate, fat contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, same as carbohydrate. And it formed from glycerols and fatty acids. So that is how you can gain fat. So fat is actually have high energy sources and storage, and it protects the organs of the body such as heart and kidney. And it transporter for vitamin A, D, E, and K. And where you can gain fat? Butter, coconut oil, palm oil, and a lot more. Normally oil lah. That's why people say don't eat too much oil. Something that you fry because it gives you a lot of fat. No, I don't know. And normally you drink all the vitamins that doesn't use. So you cannot take too many vitamins per day because your body can absorb only the amount that they want. Okay. And then, for example, because vitamin B and C, okay, and the fat you can gain from vitamin A, D, and K, okay. For example, source that you can get vitamin is milk, meat, fruits, and vegetables. Yeah, I want to pick him as well. Okay, and then this is the importance of each source of the vitamin. This one, Mr. asked you to memorize, right? Okay, means like if you lack in vitamin A, you will get night blindness. If you lack in vitamin K, that will if that cannot close your bleeding. Okay, so for example, me lah, I'm lack on vitamin K. When I got bleeding, it takes very long time to recover. Means that if you got something. Okay. If you lack in vitamin D, bring text. So bring text, you will memorize text, huh? Okay, so let's move to the next one, which is water. Water. Okay. So what is water? Water is compound that is very important to our body. It's actually 70% of our body mass is water. Okay, 70%. Yeah, that's why you eat a lot of water. And it contains element of hydrogen and oxygen, so chemical solvent and a transportation medium. So it transports waste materials such as urea and salt of the cells and regulate body temperature through evaporation of sweat. Source to get water is fruit, juice, and watermelon. A lot more. That's why sometimes people who doesn't drink water are still alive because they eat fruits. Because fruit also can give us water. Okay. Yeah, important of balanced diet. So, is it important to have a balanced diet? No. Yeah, okay. It's because balanced diet is a diet that contains all food classes in the right quantity that are required by the body. For example, you need a little fat, oil, and sugar and salt. You need a lot of rice, noodle, bread, grains, and potato. You need also a lot of fruits and some milk and dairy. Okay, you also learn about digestive system. Our digestive system. What is our digestive system? Duodenum, correct? Duodenum, and then small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and also nothing. Okay. What is when you put fire from there? Okay. It's okay. No need to talk about that. Okay. Next is absorption process and transportation of digested product and defecation. You also learn about this. Okay, and then you this is the part that you need to know, which is how the structure of human digestive system, which is starting from the mouth. Okay, starting from the mouth, and then esophagus, and then stomach, and then duodenum, and then small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and yeah, where the shit is come out from there. All right. Okay, what is factor that influence calorific requirement? Okay, first is state of health, which is people who are sick and weak, they require food food suitable for their health condition. So depends. And then climate, which is people who are living in cool climate country, yes, they need a lot of fats compared to us. Okay. And then there is two examples of why we need different calories for our okay, and then other than that is body size. Okay, if you bigger, then you need a lot of foods and age as well. Okay, the older that you are, and then you need a lot of carbohydrate, protein when you are growing, right now. So a lot of food, even you eat, you will waste become energy. Okay, compared to people who are very old, they cannot eat a lot already. Okay. Well, okay, because sometimes you work job is very hard. So you need a lot of foods, a lot of fats, or maybe a lot of calories. So somebody that do heavy work, they need a lot of foods. Compared to people who doesn't do something which is you are just sleeping and wake up. So you can eat a lot of foods. And gender, somebody eat more than her woman. Okay. Yep. And then fibers. Okay, so this is substance that cannot be broken. Why is so suddenly here the classification? Okay, cannot be broken by the digestive system. Cellulose that is found in the cell wall of plants. So it is very important. Some stimulates peristalsis. So for example, when we can get the fiber from vegetables, grains, high fiber, the bread. Okay, and a mineral, where you can get the mineral? Okay, we can have a lot of things, okay, which is from calcium, mineral calcium, sodium, iron, iodine, phosphorus, and potassium. So you can get it from different sources of food. For example, sodium you can get from salt, meat, eggs. You can get calcium from milk, okay? You can get iodine from seafood, fruits. You can get phosphorus from cheese, meat, eggs, vegetables. So no need to take a supplement that have potassium, phosphorus, iodine. Just eat normal source of food, okay? Talking about digestion, we have both digestion, which is physically and chemically. So physically, because you eat and you chew using your mouth, teeth, tongue, and saliva is inside, and it involves peristalsis. For chemical, it's actually inside your small intestine, big intestine, which is the process of breaking down food from complex molecule into simple molecules with the help of enzyme. So the enzyme helps us to make it smaller. That is chemical. Oh my god, what happened to that? This is the difference, difference and similarity between physical digestion and chemical digestion. Okay, the similar is break down food and happen in the digestive tract. But the difference is where it plays. For example, physical happen in the mouth, And the chemical is happen in the mouse stomach, ruminant and invertebrate. You learn about infectious disease and non-infectious disease. So can you give an example for infectious disease? Fever. Yeah, and the fever, yes, of course. With this nowadays you got COVID, right? So COVID is infectious. Zika fever, okay, malaria, dengue fever, a lot of fever is infectious, okay, and the tuberculosis, flu, and a lot more. And for non-infectious, for example, cancer. Okay, if you sit inside people who got cancer, you got cancer also. No, because it's not infectious, huh? And diabetes as well, and then asthma, and cardiovascular disease also is not infectious. And it cannot be transmitted, okay? Means it cannot be transferred to another people. Okay, what is it by airborne? What is this? Airborne disease is the disease that infected person through sneezing, coughing, talking, yawning also. Breathing. Okay, so it is from airborne. So for example, airborne is okay, airborne. And then gas transmission which is better in spit, saliva of an infected person dry up and form spores which are spread together with the dust in the air. So that's why the place that where people who got COVID, we need to sanitize and get that. And you can be prevent by following, which is you can add chlorine into swimming pool if you share the swimming pool with other person lah. And then good toilet with good sanitation. Sanitation. Boil the water before you drink. And wash hand with soap after using the toilet. Yeah, you don't do, right? Okay, this is infection of this is through contact. Through contact means you need to touch them. Okay, so you touch them. So, for example, that can be transmitted through contact are ringworm and tinea. So these both are causes by fungi. Okay, so that is by contact. And the infection disease through vector. So okay, and instead, okay, so some pathogens are transmitted from one host to another new host through animals. So the animals that transmit this pathogen, we call it vector. That's why I asked you what is kind of vector that you know. For example, cockroach, fly, Aedes mosquito, okay, rat. Okay. Yeah, rat is causing Zika. Zika is mosquito, right? Is leptospirosis. Yes, leptospirosis, which is it can give you fever, headache, and muscle pain. When you eat food that you didn't wash, for example, a can of drink beverage, you need to wash that first actually, okay, before you open it, because we don't know that when they keep it, you don't know if the rat is walking here and there, because rat normally they will live in the very dirty place. So if your rat is not like that. Oh, I thought rat space. Okay, that's it for the vector. Okay, so you know what is the body defense, right? Okay, so means when you can okay, it's about the health, okay, and then your body have their defense system. Okay, okay, so that is the first line of defense, which is your skin, okay. So because our skin is very tough layer, so it's difficult to to penetrate by the microorganism. Okay, so microorganism can only get into the body if there is a wound, which is if you got a little bit wound bleeding, so it can go through from that. Okay, injured place. And sweat and sebum secreted by the skin contain chemical that can kill microorganisms. So it's very good actually. Okay, and then we go to the mucous membrane, which is mucous membrane is a membrane that line the digestive tract and respiratory tract. Okay, so microorganisms that enter the respiratory tract are filtered by the nasal hairs. Can you show me where is nasal hair? Can you show me where is your nasal hairs? Nasal hairs. Okay, this is your bulu hidung. Okay, nasal hair is actually very important, so don't shave them because they protect the bacteria from entering. Okay, they will filter from there first. Okay, so the nasal hair. Where is that? Where I moved the nasal hair just now. Okay, the nasal hair. Okay, And then trap the mucus lining the nasal cavity. So earwax, okay, tears and vaginal secretion also function as antiseptic that feel. No, you don't do that. When I say I'm very serious. Yeah, go. Okay, earwax as well. That's what people say. Don't frequently use the cotton bud to correct your telinga because the earwax also got function one. Okay, so so second line defense. Okay, now we move to the second line. The first line defense you can see through your eyes. Okay, the second line defense is, for example, phagocytosis, which is the white blood cell. Okay, and digest the pathogen using enzyme to the phagocytosis. And then our third line defense is the one that you need to learn a lot, which is body immune system. Okay, which is immunity. It is your own immunity. Every each of you got your own immunity, which is the immunity is the ability if the body system to resist pathogen before it is infected. And it involves the production of an antibodies when pathogens enter the body. And antibody is a protein produced by white blood cell into the bloodstream in response to antigen. So an antigen is a foreign substance that comes from outside the body. Okay, include the production of antibodies. For example of antigens are, you want to cause some trouble, put at the back there. And then toxic molecules and blood cell from other blood groups. Okay, so that is antigen. So that is your body immune system. So later we're gonna learn more than that, more about that. Okay, strong immune system. What can cause the weaken in your immune system? What do you think? Okay, sometimes because you stress, exposure to the polluted air. Okay, you breathe the polluted air. And then sometimes exposure to the pesticides, excessive intake of sugar. Wait. Want to decrease your immune system? Take. Eat only to people who want to decrease the immune system. If not, don't eat it. Take lah, you only one, right? Okay. And then practice that strengthen the immune system. So how we want to strengthen our immune system? Don't want. No, I mean how you want to strengthen your immune system. What you can do is getting enough sleep and rest. Okay, and do not spend a lot of time looking at the phone until 2 a.m. Okay, and then exercising and inhaling fresh air. That's why it's better for you to go outside the city and taking a breath air, a little bit fresh air. Okay, and not smoking and no exposure to cigarette smoke, and doing periodic health examination because we don't want we need to know what happened to our health. Okay, so do frequent checkup. I don't know. Okay, infections and non-infection disease. How the vector spread the disease? Oh, this one I think you know, right? How? Like teacher already said that just now. Maybe you eat at a very dirty place, or maybe you didn't wash the can that you buy from the TMG or whatever that one. Actually, you need to wash it first. Okay, the can drinking or whatever that one. Okay, and of course you need to wash your hand before you eat. And what else? Another mosquito bite, correct? Because you can get dengue and then you can get malaria, Zika, okay, from the mosquito bite. But not all mosquito lah, different type of mosquito. But the mosquito didn't tell you if they are dengue, they just come and bite you. Understand? Okay. Yeah. And then sometimes the fly. You know what is the fly, right? Okay, when you expose your food, okay, too long and the fly come and shit there. No lah. Because the leg got place, go to the place that is very dirty, right? So they bring the dirtiness on your food and you cannot see them and you just eat the burger and then you feel headache, stomach ache, and got a disease, and got food poisoning. Understand? So that's why we need to close the food if you don't want to eat it yet. Close the food before the fly go to your food. Okay, then done with the chapter 4.